There we go.
Here we are. Hi, everyone. This is Yana Kashper. I'm here with Matt McGee of Recovery Fitness. We are super excited to have Tom Shanahan of Spiritual Adrenaline and the newly Super Active NYC. So we're super excited to have him. He's here to talk about healthy lifestyles in recovery. And he's an incredible supporter, and he's made some visits to Rochester, and we're so excited to have him on the feed. Tom, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Yana. And I'm wearing my Recovery Fitness shirt that I was given as a gift at my last visit there. So I got the right shirt on this morning. I'm a big fan of your organization. Thank you so much for having me on. And Matt, thank you as well.
Yeah, we're glad you're here with us, Tom.
Thanks. So, hand it over to you to talk about. I know you came out to visit us a couple of times before you wrote your book, and then once your book was debuted. I just wanted to kind of talk about that some and see what your thoughts are, and kind of just open that dialogue.
Okay, I remember years ago I'd been to Rochester and I used to go to Bucks and Broadwell's, which were clubs and bars down in downtown Rochester. And on one of those trips, when I was down there partying with my friends from college, it was actually snowing out, and we were trying to get back to the dorm where he lived in Rochester, the University of Rochester, and you couldn't see there was a lagoon in the middle of the area we were trying to get through to get back to the dorm. We were so drunk and messed up that we actually fell into the water and get pulled out of the water, and I injured my ankle. So that was many, many years ago when I was actually active, partying, and when I was a student at SUNY Cortland, upstate New York. And then I have that to contrast with my 2 visits recently up to Rochester to visit with Recovery Fitness. I was never injured when I came up to visit Recovery Fitness. I haven't fallen in any lagoons or had any kind of unusual, chaotic stories to tell. I really enjoyed my visits there. I really respect the people at the organization. I read about your organization online first, and this was about 4 years ago, I think. And I reached out to you, and I was like, I got to get to meet these people. I got to know them. I wrote a blog about you, and then I got the opportunity on a couple of occasions to come up. So thank you so much. There's so many people. There's a gentleman that's active with your organization. I go up and I speak at Conifer Park and outside of Albany, New York, all the time. There was a gentleman who I met there when he was in rehab, and he's a member of your organization. He's looking forward to competing in his first men's physique contest in the near future. And so, there's just so many inspirational stories that come out of what you call the firehouse. So you should be really, 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 really proud of the work you do there. Because that you're saving lives in a time when so many lives are being lost so needlessly. So you asked me to talk a little bit about a healthy lifestyle, right? In the context of addiction recovery. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I was like, why did I say I do this? I don't want to do this. This sucks. Maybe I can cancel. I'll tell them something came up, an emergency at the office. So here I am actually doing it and enjoying it. And the reason is I write about this in my book. My book is Spiritual Adrenaline, a lifestyle plan to strengthen and nourish your recovery. It's available on Amazon, at Barnes & Nobles, or on Central Recovery Press website. I don't have a copy here with me. But the reality, I write about the import of a daily morning program. And the reason is, it's what I do when I wake up that really sets the tone for the rest of my day. And so this morning, I forced myself out of bed at 5, complaining about how I was getting up early. I had this morning program. I read daily reflections just for today. I do little journal notes in the books. I have the same books for 9 years now. So I have comments from back in 2011, which blows my mind, in that same book. It's getting really crowded. But then I take a hot bath. I do a workout. And what I've started to do during COVID-19, because I've had to, in quarantine, adjust my workout program because the gym is closed. I live in a 40-story building in Midtown. So this morning, I started weeks ago with a 20-pound backpack. And so now I'm up to 52 pounds. And I go from the 5th floor where I live up to the 40th floor in the building and come back down with the pack on. And it's like the best workout. And it may sound like not like fun, but quite frankly, it focuses me. When I'm not focused, like in the mornings, when I try and climb those stairs, right? I'm on the 5th floor. By the 10th floor, I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. The 11th, 12th floor, I'm like, let me just go back to bed. I don't want to do this. Like when my mind is distracted and all over the place because of the social media and the chaos. So what I try and do when I'm climbing those stairs in the morning is I focus. I have a mantra I repeat. I think about my family and people I love with each of the steps as I go up. I focus on gratitude. And it's an amazing thing. When I'm focused, I'll be at the 25th floor before I even realize where I am. I'm in the zone. And so what I'm saying is, I watch the news too, and over 100, I'm about to cry, 100,000 lives lost. I mean, it's just so sad, right? And then the looting and the riots and the protests and everything. I mean, this is chaos, and chaos is addictive. It's just as addictive as alcohol and drugs. And social media is addictive. And so by staying focused in the morning, getting my brain back on what's really important, what can I control? Because I can't control anything that's happening out there. What I can control is my own life, how I structure my day, what I'm eating, because it matters what I'm putting into my body, right? Just like alcohol and drugs impact me, foods have nutrients. Am I doing exercise, even if it's just like 15 minutes a day? If there's benefits, science shows that. For me, it's more than that. But for someone at home who's watching this, just walk around the block. Get out where, look at Yana. It's beautiful behind her. How can you be depressed in nature? It's so perfect. The humans complicate everything. Nature is perfect. Go out in the trees. Go out in the grass. I'm going to cry. I love it because it's beautiful. And so all the science, and it's all in my book, all the science shows that if you get out in nature, if you just do brisk walking every day or some kind of activity, if you interact with other human beings and don't isolate, that you're going to see the benefits. The morning program is so important because unless we as people in recovery spiritually ground ourselves, unless we take that time for ourselves, there is no way we can properly go about trying to be of service to others or serve ourselves. You have to ground yourself personally in the morning to set the tone. And that's why I think a morning program is so chaotic. And then, again, I don't want to lecture. I'm just going to tell people what I'm doing because I think, they can keep what works and, disregard the rest. Look, we're in isolation. And one of the big rules is not to isolate when you're in recovery, right? And I do Zoom meetings and all those kinds of things too, but they're not really the same thing for me, at least in the context of interaction. So, I fought accepting quarantine, and I'm going to get emotional. For 2 weeks, I was like, no. I want to go back to the world that I knew in February. This is going to stop, right? But it's not going to stop. We're never going back. I mean, it's crazy to think that, right? But I realized the more I'm grabbing on to the way we used to live, the less happy I was. It took me 2 weeks to come to that realization. And then I came to the realization that 9 years ago, I already went through this, right? Like when I went to rehab, I had to accept the fact that I couldn't continue to live the way I knew to live. I had to surrender to the things that I couldn't change, right? And I had to if I continued to grasp on, I was going to get dragged back into a relapse. I had to reinvent the world as I knew it. And so for people in recovery, especially people who are part of the sober active community, because they understand what I'm talking about, the healthy lifestyle is so important. It's not just about going to a 12-step meeting, and it's not about abstinence. It's about sobriety. We have trained for this. If you have worked the steps, you have trained for this and where we're going. Use the tools. Use the tools that we have. Use the tools that have got you sober, right? Apply them to your life now because you're never going back to February of 2020. We're moving forward, whether you like it or not. And that's what I had to come to that realization. So since I'm more isolated now, I'm a big fan of inventories. I don't just inventory my character defects as they, I took those recommendations and my character traits that are positive. I inventory my relationship with food. This is what I've been doing in quarantine. My relationship with exercise. I inventoried my relationship with social media because it drives me nuts. I mean, it's a great device for positive purposes, but it's being used to lie to people and by bullies and by judgmental people who don't know me, don't know anything about other people, and make all these comments. So I had to inventory how that's impacting me and how can I limit my exposure to what I see as both a positive and a negative thing, and also a necessary thing. And so I'm using this time to do those things. I'm using this time to do gratitude lists. I journaled over the years. I've been reading my journals from 2012, 2013, and I've really been inventorying how I can adapt to the new reality. Lately I've been my addiction to shopping on Amazon has been really bad again. So it's not, it's like I'm looking at that because I'm like, I got my credit card bill. I'm like, okay, wait a second, do you really need all this stuff? So look, we are in recovery and we are committed to living sober, right? Our government is condoning and ratifying addictive practices as coping mechanisms. In my neighborhood, the liquor stores are open. Some of the pawn shops are open I live in the Times Square, Manhattan area. Some of the pawn shops are open. Junk carbs are flying off the shelves while the fresh fruits and vegetables, which would really help people get through this, don't seem to be in demand. But, this is like non-medical marijuana sales are through the roof. Pornography sales are through the roof. These are all addictive practices. And when I heard on the news on Monday night that drug manufacturers can't keep up with the production of antidepressants, Zoloft was a specific one because they can't keep up with the demand for the component parts. I was like, we're in big trouble. But here's the deal. Some people need, I'm not saying there are some people who actually need this, for whatever the reason, but there's a reason why the sales are going through the roof now, right? Because of grasping onto the past and because of the lack of positive coping mechanisms. That's how I see it. That's my opinion. If you accept that, great. If you disagree, I respect your right to disagree. Don't attack me and say terrible things about me, okay? Just respect my right to have that position. And so look, the way I see it, I mean, Yana, I think you're with Sean Smith, who is someone I look up to, right? And I really have great admiration for. He's a ranger, man. He's a soldier. He knows about boot camp. He knows about change. He knows about the importance of discipline. So we are in boot camp, okay? We are in the beginning of this. This is 3 months in, 4 months in. This is boot camp for people in recovery, but you've been training for this the entire time you've been sober. Every tool you need in the context of exercise and nutrition, really, and listen, I'm here to talk about my book, but my book integrates science. It's evidence-based, right? It's not my opinion, and it's not what worked for me. It's what's worked it's based on science, so it works for everybody. Yana is one of the chapter inspirations in my book. Sean's in the book as a chapter inspiration. The statistics show, and I've done so much research on this topic. There's a whole chapter in my book that speaks to the background of the sober active movement. There are statistical evidence and studies that show that people who integrate a healthy lifestyle into their sobriety not only find greater happiness in sobriety, but have far reduced relapse rates, okay? That's the science, but you don't need the science. If you think I'm wrong, come to the Spiritual Adrenaline website, go to our YouTube channel, 200 free videos. Look at all the people. Go to our Facebook page, over 80,000 people worldwide. Go there and look at the people like Yana, like Sean, like Scott Strode, who I consider the founder of the Sober Active movement. Rob and Sheena Archuleta, Addict to Athlete. Scott founded the Phoenix. The Barbell Saves in Phoenix, Arizona. Go to see Ignite in Wisconsin. Look at what Alexi Talbot is doing in Canada. Everywhere you look, everywhere, Temperance Training in Florida. There's so many, I don't want to leave them out. Caleb McCoy and his wife in North Carolina, who are taking on the addiction challenge in the eastern band of Cherokee Nation territory, where 14 people overdosed a few weeks ago in 1 week It's catastrophic. But the people who integrate the healthy lifestyle and have a support network of healthy-minded people, not just in the context of abstinence, but in what they're eating and their exercise program, have far greater rates of success. And so, listen, I've lived it. I tried to get sober by just going to 12-step meetings, and I would text throughout the meeting, and I would go hang out at the bars and go, hey, I'm sober now. Don't worry, I'm not going to drink, but I'm just going to hang around till closing and then go with you. And you do your cocaine. Yeah, but I'm not going to do any. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I didn't even want to work steps. I got a sponsor who didn't work steps because I didn't want to work steps. So I figured that was the best kind of sponsor. It doesn't work. This is your life. This is your opportunity. Take it. Seize this day. If all those people who have passed away from COVID-19 and the violence that's taken place, if they could have one day back on this planet, they would dance in the streets, enjoy it, hug their loved ones, and make the most of it. We have to embrace the day like that because we could lose it tomorrow. Any one of us could be dead because of what's going on. So that being said, and that's my message. I hope it's a message of hope because I just think everything is here. It's all up here. When I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, I was hating it. I was hating everything, but like I did the right things and look where I am now. And I'm really grateful that I did do those things. And I changed my own reality by the actions that I took. So I hope that helps some people out there. I'm just going to shut up and let Yana talk, or maybe Matt for now.
So, wow, thank you for sharing. You're invigorating, and your message crosses humanity. I understand the importance of recovery and the people in the community, but if people would have an outlook like you everywhere, come together, get involved with each other, treat each other, inspire each other, we might be in a better place, and we're going to need a lot more of that.
Let me just say something. When Buddha is a real person, I'm a big follower of his. It's not a religion, it's a spiritual practice. So, I actually studied his life. I went to his birthplace. I've been to Bodhi Gaya in India under the actual tree where he attained enlightenment. And so, but it took him 6 years, Matt, and he failed repeatedly. He tried so many different ways to come to his realization of the end of suffering. But the fact of the matter is it took him 6 years, but he didn't stop trying. And then he attained enlightenment. He went back to Lumbini, and I've been through the gate. It's called the Renunciation Gate that he walked through when he left and when he returned to the palace. It's still there. And when he got back to the palace, the staff there said, oh, they called him Lord Buddha at that point. Lord Buddha, you have changed so much. And what he said is, I have not changed. I have woken up. What he was saying is, it was always there, but he had to find the tools that enabled him to realize what was living inside of him, the gift of the Dharma, right? And so for anyone out there, listen, look at what happened with George Floyd. The negative actions of those cops, that one in particular, the consequence of one person's actions have devastated an entire country. If one person can do something so negative and devastate a country, one person can also do something so positive and help the country and the world. So every action we take is important. When I walk to my office, I'm in Midtown, I say hi to everybody, even if they're looking down with their mask on, because maybe that will change their day, right? Think about that. One person making a positive action can have the greater impact. And so that's why it's like, man, I think we all know this, but when you have a government endorsing addictive coping mechanisms, when you have social media, which is addictive and being manipulated by bad people, that's why we need to step back. That's why in my book, I write about turn your cell phone off at 7 p.m. You'll sleep a lot better without it ringing all friggin' night, right? Don't turn it on until after you work out in the morning. And so, because that way you have you time, not what other external, but that's what Buddha talked about. Stop with the external. It's here. It's inside of you. Get comfortable in your own skin. Know yourself. Forget everybody else. And so that's my message today. And I know we're kind of running out of time, and I appreciate you letting me do my sermon, because I fundamentally believe these things can save lives, but I just want to, in the context of what people are reading, because my book's all about exercise. It's all about nutrition. And when I see, like, in my supermarket, all the junk foods out and all the fruits and vegetables rotting, it gets me upset. So here's what I wanted to do, if it's okay with the two of you. Can I just give you guys and your listeners maybe a list of foods that can really, really supercharge their body and their recovery? Can I do that?
Have at it.
All right.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal, and this is all in my book, so I'm not going to get into the specifics or yada yada. So fermented foods are critically important for you to be eating right now. Okay, the fermentation process enriches these foods with both prebiotics and probiotics, right? Those are shown, you eat them, there's a gut-brain axis. So what you're thinking is impacted directly by what you're eating. And if you're eating fermented foods, you're giving your body the ability to produce the absolute maximum positive microbiome that enables your brain to produce endorphins, serotonin, and your serotonin's actually producing in your belly, but they're positive hormones and the other hormones that are required for your body to function. And so let me give you my list of recommended foods. You can get them at the supermarket. They're not like esoteric things, because it's so easy too to do this. Kefir, sauerkraut, yeah, pickles. Who doesn't like a pickle? If anyone who doesn't like pickles, I don't trust you, man. That's just not right. Something wrong with that, right? And ask any pregnant woman out there. Right? I'm just joking. Okay, kimchi, miso, tempeh, yogurts. So these things, which you can get in your supermarket and relatively inexpensively as well, are all fermented foods. And let me just go through one scientific survey which just came out recently. It's really important. They took two groups of rats and they fed one group a typical Western diet filled of junk carbs and refined sugars. And the second group, they fed a Mediterranean diet filled with fermented foods and other positive foods. The group of rats that ate the fermented foods were socializing, acting normally. Rats are very, very social animals. I never knew that before I read the study. The group that ate the refined sugars started to get obese and develop traits that were showing manifesting depression, major depressive disorder. They then took the microbiome from that group after 5 weeks and injected it to the otherwise healthy rats. They kept feeding them the Mediterranean diet, but injected the microbiome from the other rats who were eating the refined sugars. And those rats that were thriving and happy became depressed. Your microbiome, what you're eating, is impacting your brain. And the science has proven it. It's not my opinion. It's the real world. So if you take fermented foods, work a couple of them in a day, and then here's my list of foods high in digestive enzymes. There's 5 major digestive enzymes. Read my book. I won't get into it. It's really boring anyway. There's 3 that are really, really important. So here are the foods that you can eat. Combine these with your fermented foods. You'll be dancing just like me, okay? And like Yana, look at her. She's out there in the woods. She's all happy, all right? Matt's just waking up. I'm just joking with you. But here are the foods with digestive enzymes. Ginger root, pineapple, papaya, mango, honey, bananas, avocado, kimchi, kiwi. I love kiwi. I eat the skin on it too because it's full of prebiotics. That's what it's in the skin. Kefir, sauerkraut. So these are not some esoteric foods. These are everyday foods that you can get at your supermarket. And so if you combine the foods on those lists, and kimchi and kefir and sauerkraut are on both lists, you're going to provide your body with a really powerful nutritional therapy to deal with the chaos that's all around us right now. You're going to enhance your ability not only to feel better, but your mind to function better and to think better so you can get through this terrible time.
Absolutely. That's it's been an incredible, really gift to hear you and hear your wisdom. And
I'm
your
available
thoughts.
anytime. I'm a huge fan of your organization. I wore my shirt, and I'm coming up there as soon as I can get out of quarantine. Take care. I mean, thank you for having me. And please, all of you, be safe. Take care of yourself. Your health is the most important, valuable gift you have. Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Matt, for having me and your patience.
And we've shared your website link and the link to the book. So thanks. Everyone, check it out.
I'll be back anytime you want me to. Take care. Have a great day.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
I think it's, Bye.
Bye.